Hey guys, I'm Joe and this is the Rebels Advocate, and I got a Facebook story to tell you. Yay! But first, before I get started, just a little quick plug for me. I made a new YouTube channel, and if you'd like to check it out, I'd appreciate it. It's nothing like this one. I guess it is something like this one because it's me in front of the camera talking. But I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about politics. I'm not, it's nothing serious. It's kind of comedy relief for me, just to talk about anything, my attempt at humor, I guess, and so just talking about random stuff, trying to be funny, I guess, nothing serious, and it's just something I'm doing for fun. And if you want to check it out, I'd appreciate it. I think I got one video right now. Maybe I'll have two by the time you get there, because I did just video one a little while ago. So if you want to check that out, the channel's called Joe Stands Up. I'll try to put a link down below in the description if you want to just check it out and click on it. If you don't, I don't blame you, but if you do, you can check it out. So anyway, back to this video on this channel, a Facebook story. So I've been trying really hard lately to not get involved in arguments on Facebook. I've been trying really hard to stay away from religion and politics. I just can't help myself sometimes because it's everywhere, and it just, when I try not to talk about it, it just builds up, and I see stuff just like, and like I got things to say, then I'll see something else, and then I'll see something else, and it just keeps building, and then what worries me is one day then you just explode. But I've been doing pretty good. So I've been trying to post mostly about my kid, and you guys know how much I love my kid, and so she's my whole world. So as long as I stay focused on her, if I just keep it about my family, just me, my wife, and my kid, like I stay pretty happy, to be honest. So I try to focus on them. But today I saw a post, and there wasn't even anything that bad about the post. And the post said simply, God is so good, ... during the good, bad, and the ugly. And it would have been fine right there. But then below it he put, and this is fact! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And I think a few more exclamation points. And that's the one that got me. Now, I probably, and it's not a horrible post or anything. It's not like it was offensive in any way. And I probably would have kept on scrolling. But the reason I didn't, and the reason I did say something, is I know this is a guy who I actually like. This is a guy, I kind of know. We have way more interactions online than we do in real life, but I have sat down and talked to him in real life. We're not really close friends like we hang out, but I've actually, we've made plans to hopefully hang out one day. I do like this guy. I think he's a good guy. So nothing against him, but I did know that I can throw anything at him. I can go hard, like just, in a kind of an argumentative way, and he could go hard right back at me, and at the end of the day, neither one of us would actually get mad at the other, because he's real good at talking about these things that a lot of people can't talk about without getting mad. So I know he can do that, and that it's good on him. So I just threw it at him, and we did, and we had a back and forth, and at the end of it, we were still friends. I made that clear. So that's good. Oops. So the only thing I said, the only thing I took issue is I commented, because I caught it pretty early. Like, I thought nobody commented, but by the time I commented, somebody had. Because I just sat and stared at it for a while. You ever do that? And you think nobody's commented, and then you finally type your thing and send it. And then when you look at it later, like 5 people's commented before you actually hit send. In my case, I think it was only 1, but I just commented and I said, you're playing it pretty fast and loose with the word fact. Because that's what got me. It's like, when Christians use this word fact. And this is why you can't win an argument against a Christian. I mean, you're probably going to win it, but not in their eyes. You're not going to convince them that you won the argument. And if you don't convince them you won, have you really even won? I'm not, like most time even when you win the argument, you walk away feeling like you lost because you feel like you just beat your head against a wall for like however many minutes straight you just argued with them, because it's impossible. Now this post and mine and his interaction with one another is not why I'm making this video, because there was something below our comments that just I stared at. I stared at it, and I went back and stared at it. I stared at it forever. But anyway, I said you're playing it fast and loose with the facts. So I just go through our comments from what I remember. And he replied, he said, dude, I got a story to tell you that will blow your mind. I said, well, I'm sure you do. But in whatever words, I can't remember exactly how I said it, but I was like, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you got a good story. I don't think that's going to do anything to verify what the claim you made in the post. And he said, yeah, it will. He was pretty convinced that it would, and I was like, well, I doubt it. I mean, what's his story? Is it something that God did for you personally, or for another individually personally? In which case it really proves nothing. Unless your story is about how God is good to everyone all the time, then your story doesn't verify the claim you made up there. And I'm pretty sure I live in the same world that you do, so I'm pretty sure that your story is not going to be about that. And it's just, it's funny when you think about it. I was thinking about what people's goal is when they're talking to atheists. This is kind of a wild tangent off. It's not really on the topic, but just something I was thinking about. And I was thinking it's kind of crazy how some people, they don't have the confidence that God can convince me he's real. Their all-powerful God cannot convince me himself that he's real, but they think they have a story that's going to convince me. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, that was kind of the end of our interaction. But there were comments, like by the time we'd replied back and forth to each other, there were several more comments below, and they were all like, oh yes, God is good all the time. God is wonderful. He's an on-time God, things like that. But there was one, and this just sums up Christianity so well. This just sums up most of the Christians I know. This sums up every argument I've ever had with a believer. And it said this, and I'm not kidding. I'm gonna try to put these up. I'll try to put these up as we go. This is what it said. It said, I believe God is good, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. I hope I got that right, but if I didn't, I'll throw it up there so you can see it. I believe God is good, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. I just stared at that for the longest time. And the guy who posted the original post replied to him and was like, hey, we're two peas in a pod, man. Just think about that for a minute. Like, I don't even know what I can say after seeing that. Like, I mean, what can I add to that? But that it sums up every argument. It's the very argument of the existence of God. Not just that God is good, but the existence of God. People are like, well, I believe he exists. Like, what evidence? I don't care about evidence. For some reason, my God chose, like, we have to believe in him, but he chose not to really reveal himself, and you just have to believe for some reason. That makes sense to him. It's like they don't care about the evidence. In some cases, I know Christians who believe that the evidence is hidden from us because it makes it better somehow to believe in stuff without evidence. But then at the same time, they'll turn around and tell you you're crazy not to believe. that there's no way you can believe in a God. Like, you just walk out and look at outside and are like, well, obviously the Christian God had to make all this. It couldn't have come about in any other possible way. There is absolutely no other explanation. It had to be the Christian God of the Bible that created this universe. It's crazy. And then, let's say we all do believe in God. Then his claim was, I believe God is good, despite the overwhelming evidence. So what is the overwhelming evidence to the contrary? So basically he's saying that there is overwhelming evidence that God is bad. Like, he believes in God, but he believes there's overwhelming evidence that God is bad. But he thinks despite that evidence, he knows God's actually good. So what is the overwhelming evidence that God is bad? In a world where you believe in the Bible, in a world where you believe in God, well, number one, just look around. I don't have to point it out. You can see it for yourself. If you've ever been in a children's hospital, there you go. I don't need to say any more. It's just nobody could allow that to if you had the power to stop it. There is nobody on the face of this planet, I would hope, that would have the power to stop a child from suffering. That would just be like, nah, this is my will. This is how I want it to happen. This makes sense somehow, my divine plan. Like, we could go over a million different examples, but why go any further than that? In a universe where children suffer, there can't be an all-powerful being that allows that to happen and is also all-loving, all-compassionate, all-merciful. No, it's not, that doesn't go together. It just doesn't add up. So that's some evidence that God is not good if you believe God is real. The other evidence would be the Bible. If you read the book, he is by far the villain of the story. He is the most murderous character in the book. He murders millions of people and has millions of people murdered. Like, he basically commands people to murder entire groups of people, take their young virgins as sex slaves. He gives commands of how to treat your slaves. He tells you to murder your own family if they dare serve another god. He's the villain of the story. He created evil. It says so right there in his book, that he created all things, even evil. He created evil. It says so in the book. So, yeah, I hate to tell you, but if you're an all-powerful being and you actually claim out loud and in writing that you created evil, like, that means there was no evil. There was no evil. There was only good or only nothingness, whatever, and you created it. Then you are evil. Like, that means there was no one evil, there was no thing evil, there was no evil, and you created it. You brought evil into existence. That cannot be true, and you also be good all the time and always be good. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way. But don't try to use this argument with Christians, because it ain't going to work, and I'll tell you why. Because despite all your logic, despite all your evidence, despite all this common sense, they can feel it in their heart. That organ that pumps blood through your body, somehow it also holds feelings and thoughts and evidence. Anyway, I'm Joe. This is the Rebels Advocate. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all my patrons. I appreciate all you guys so much. And as always, especially Brandon Shaw. And if you want to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/The Rebels Advocate. And don't forget, if you want to, go check out my channel, Joe Stands Up. I'll put the link down in the description. Thanks for watching, guys.